Well, so we've got a test print here showing 5 different exposures, 5 seconds, 10, 15, 20 and 25. This is at the sort of default grade of the paper, which would be grade 2. From that we've ascertained that we can do maybe a print around sort of 16, 17 seconds, somewhere around these two, and then a print was actually made, so we can put that in front here. Okay, so now looking at this print, we then have to start thinking, do we see all of the detail, all of the information that we really want to see? Maybe we're losing something around the sort of propeller here, maybe losing some of the detail here in the gravel, and maybe in the sort of woodwork, the distressed woodwork of the panels of the boat. So the next thing I went about doing was a higher contrast print. You can see the kind of difference there. So this is at grade 5. So grade 5, as it's quite a dark magenta filter, it effectively doubles the exposure. So here, instead of having 5, we have 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50 seconds. So with a guess at around maybe 40 seconds, just under 40 seconds, I then produced another print. Now you can see with this, the contrast is definitely raised. If we look at the two prints, if we pull the test prints out, and underneath the test prints we have the relevant prints that relate to each image, you can now see the difference in the contrast, which is quite huge. Grade 2, don't forget this is on a diffuser enlarger, so your prints will always be slightly less contrasty than on a condenser enlarger, and this altogether I feel looks more pleasing. The print looks sharper, it looks a bit more sort of gutsy. But the problem is you're sort of losing some detail here. Definitely where you've got some colour in the sky here, we're losing the sky entirely here. And the pebbles are literally very kind of black or white. Now, one method of actually getting around this is to actually do a split grade print. So this is combining the characteristics of the grade 2 and the characteristics of the grade 5. So here we have a third print. So if we pull that alongside and we raise that up, you can start to see a little bit more. It's actually a little bit lighter than this print here, but you are starting to see, if we pull this one out and you kind of put those alongside each other, you can start to see that there's a little bit of more contrast in here. You've still got contrast in the gravel of the beach, but it's actually starting to get a little bit more oomph, but with just a little bit more sort of detail within the sort of highlights and the shadow. Now we're still sort of lacking somewhat in the sky area here, and to be honest, it's still got a slight greyness to that. So with the split grade print, this one here, what you effectively do, you expose half the time of the print under grade 5. So if the print was overall, if we're looking at, say, with the grade 5 print, 50 seconds, then what you'll do is you'll do, for the split grade print, you will do 25 seconds at grade 5, and you'll do the other half at grade 2, so 25 at grade 2, and the combination is this print. But like I say, it's still a little bit grey, and it can work under certain situations, but what I often like to do is to still do a split grade print, but do it via dodging and burning. So here we have a print that has been dodged and burned. So basically we've got some foreground here that has been dodged at grade 2. So we've got grade 2 in the foreground. The middle part of the print here is grade 5. So effectively what you would do, you'd have a bit of, under the enlarger, you would expose the whole print for grade 5, and then you would come in and you would burn in the bottom area for grade 2, just to get a little bit more definition there. The problem is we're still lacking in the sky. So for my final print here, we've had the whole print, exposed for half the amount of time for grade 5, and then just the top of the print burnt in with grade 2, which has given this better depth to the sky, and then the same for this area too. And then the combination actually from your original grade 2 print is like so. So hopefully you can see the greater depth that we're actually achieving here. You can see that there is more light, some more sunlight coming across this part of the print, but this has been defined in here. But to stop the really high contrast that we have in this print here, as you can see on the grade 5, we've applied some grade 2 in here to actually knock this back and soften that back. And the same with the sky. So that has effectively allowed the eye to kind of focus on that center part of the print, which is really sort of the main focus and the main sort of narrative to the print. So, you know, with the sort of boat and the light sort of coming across, and the light in the sky effectively forms a nice sort of frame to the actual print. So when we see them on their own, you can start to appreciate more the time spent in the darkroom. So all in all, we've produced 5 prints. So I'll lay them all out like so. And we come up higher. We see the 4 main prints from start to finish, with the final one at the top, and we'll go through them again. So grade 2, grade 5, grade 2 and 5 split evenly just through exposure, grade 2 and 5 with the grade 2 coming into the foreground, and then grade 2 and 5 with the grade 2 in the foreground and the grade 2 in the sky, and just grade 5 hitting the actual boats.